Should you remain at a polling station or leave after casting the ballot on 15th January?
It is an issue of individual conviction. As the electorate, it is their duty to decide what works for them.
Section 31, subsection 4 of the Presidential Elections Act 2005 stipulates in part that everyone who isn't an election official shall stand or sit at least 20 meters away from the polling table. However, you might be right to still be in a dilemma on whether to stay away from a polling station following controversial and mixed messages from some government officials. The Electoral Commission chairperson, supported by the Army under the leadership of the Chief of the Defense Forces, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, directed that the polling station should be exited soon after casting the ballot.
When you finish voting, please, you go home and then you wait for the time for the announcements of the results or the time for counting of it. That's when you could go back, other than crowding the polling stations.
Those who try to cause trouble, as I've heard some people proclaim, will be dealt with swiftly and with all the tools at our disposal and in accordance with the law.
When the Electoral Commission was making that urging and caution, it was not for ill motives or ulterior motives.
Several people have quashed the guideline, key among them the Attorney General, Kiwanuka, the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Norbert, religious leaders, and the members of the legal fraternity.
I say without fear of contradiction that after voting, even you, the members of parliament, you must not stay at the polling station. Yeah, when you're 20 meters away, that's not the polling station. So when we are telling you, and you must encourage everyone not to stay at the polling station after voting. If you want, when you finish voting, you leave the polling station. 20 meters an hour, 100 meters, that's perfectly fine.
Actually, the right thing to say is, don't crowd in the voting area. Nobody needs to tell me that go home. Now, when you tell people to go home, you are activating unnecessary suspicion in the minds of the people.
The guidance of the Attorney General and that of the Justice Minister should make it clear by now that it is upon an individual to decide whether to keep within the vicinity of a polling station. Nonetheless, the legal minds argue that there are valid reasons to be skeptical, citing instances where law enforcement agencies have adamantly disregarded the law.
This regime has been doing so many things which are not even in the law. I mean, the order that they are making that citizens should keep away from the polling station. We have seen military officers making partisan statements against the law. So that for me should actually tell you that they don't need any legal instrument.
They, however, insist that the electorate should exercise their civic responsibility of observing the ongoing process at the respective polling stations.
After voting, you actually are free to get to the polling station such that you can observe what is going on. So for me, my guidance to citizens is that don't be part of the lot that is abrogating the constitution, that is implementing illegal orders from the military and from the Electoral Commission.
The world is watching, and these are not one-off events, so we expect that the security should do what they ought to do. We have the human rights guidelines, we have the human rights law, we have the Bill of Rights, but also this is a test to the security institutions.
They also argue that the election messaging by the opposition National Unity Platform, terming this a protest, may have been misconstrued.
What the National Unity Platform is doing is basically retaliating what the law provides. Probably they've branded it a protest vote, but they have accepted to participate in the exercise. They are garnering their supporters to have the required documentation to go and cast the vote.
The National Unity Platform Party has rallied its supporters to look for the vote, ensure that they vote, protect the vote, and demand the right results.
Mumpulira bulungi kana akalurusike ka bulijjo kana akaluba kaita protest vote.
Voter protector for candidate Gundi, I am saying, and then you walk with the swag into the polling station, you'll be arrested. Period. We don't want people to create their own things, and they think that me, I will say this is how it is going to be. It's not going to be like that. And I'm saying it unequivocally.
Intensity of this debate reveals a deeper issue. weaker leadership and management of the electorate. When people feel compelled to gather their votes, it signals anxiety about whether institutions will do their duty faithfully.
The directives have also ignited questions about whose interests the army and the electoral body are serving, because all candidates and their supporters are expected to have accurate results from a transparent, free and fair election.
The president is the commander in chief of the armed forces, but he has also actually cast a vote of no confidence in the Electoral Commission. He has actually assured us that the Electoral Commission is incompetent to preside over an election because they made him lose 2.7 million votes in the last election. In fact, the president actually needs to do us a favor and disband his Electoral Commission.
The information from all the parties showed that there are two things that are likely to happen come the polling day. One of these is for the Electoral Commission and the army to swallow humble pie and abide by the law that allows citizens to stand or sit 20 meters away from the polling station. In this case, there are no expected altercations. The second option has to do with the electorate disregarding the misguided directive, in which case it is anticipated that this could spark acts of violence. Jackson Onyango, NTV.